Karma is coming to collect from various participants of the January 6th insurrection, including 4 more members of a far-right militia, as well as the rioter who went viral for propping his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Breathe it in, folks. That's the pleasant aroma of karma, because it's been recently reported that additional convictions have been made with respect to the January 6th insurrection, including 4 more members of the Oath Keepers, which is a far-right militia movement. They've been successfully convicted of seditious conspiracy, which is a pretty big damn deal. And another guy, a guy who went viral, a rioter who was infamous for some amount of time because he broke into and propped his feet up in Nancy Pelosi's office on her desk. Well, he's been convicted of 8 charges, okay? Now, before we dive into those stories, I do want to set the table a bit, so we're going to wind the clock back to late November 2022, specifically regarding the conviction of Stewart Rhodes, who is the leader of the Oath Keepers far-right militia group, okay? Now, the 4 who were convicted recently, they were not the first to be charged successfully or convicted successfully of seditious conspiracy. Their boss, the leader, the founder of the Oath Keepers, Stewart Rhodes, he was the first one. He was convicted successfully in November, and he faces a maximum of 20 years in prison from the conviction, although the jury is also charging him or convicting him of additional charges as well, so it'll likely be more than that. The seditious conspiracy verdict against Rhodes is one of the most significant results arising from the Justice Department's investigation into January 6th. At the time, it was a pretty big damn deal, not only because people aren't typically prosecuted for seditious conspiracy, let alone, successfully charged or successfully found guilty. But this was essentially the first domino effect. The fact that the Justice Department was able to charge, successfully prosecute, and get a guilty verdict for this person, for this charge, meant that other people who were being investigated, charged, and prosecuted, the likelihood that the Justice Department could make a compelling case in front of a jury for seditious conspiracy, well, that increased, right? If they were able to do it once here, odds are they would at least be able to do it again in other comparable cases. So that made the collective sphincters of all the people under investigation for participating in January 6th clench, right? Because now the Justice Department can possibly hit you successfully with the big one, right? The seditious conspiracy charge. As a matter of fact, after this was reported, it was rumored that Donald Trump, the leader of Cult 45, the guy that, Stewart Rhodes was looking to for inspiration when he attacked the Capitol, in addition to thousands of others, even though Trump hasn't been arrested or charged or prosecuted or successfully convicted yet, it increased the likelihood that that charge might apply to even somebody like Trump, right? Before then, it was kind of like a distant, far-fetched thing, right? But if it happened once, it can happen again. And so that really set the table for the news that was reported recently, which is that additional Oath Keepers, 4 additional Oath Keepers, have been found guilty of seditious conspiracy. And Axios reports that a Washington, D.C. jury found 4 members of the far-right group, the Oath Keepers, guilty of seditious conspiracy on Monday, so today, the 23rd, over a plot to stop the peaceful transfer of power on January 6th. It's the second set of seditious conspiracy convictions against the anti-government group's members after its founder, Stewart Rhodes, and 1 other member were found guilty. It's been seldom used since the Civil War. I forgot about that. I mean, this is something that, basically was used against defeated Confederates in the aftermath of the Civil War. Completely forgot about that history, which also adds to the infamy associated with this charge. Not only is it seditious conspiracy, right, where you're conspiring against the United States government, you've been slapped with a charge that rebels in the Civil War were slapped with, right? I mean, how anti-American does it get, right? Yeah, it's just it's interesting to fathom the political and cultural implications of this, in addition to the legal consequences. So seditious conspiracy is committed when 2 or more people in the U.S. conspire to overthrow, destroy, or seize the property of or levy war against the U.S. government, or to prevent the execution of any U.S. law. Prosecutors allege the Oath Keeper members, led by Rhodes, planned and attempted to violently oppose the transfer of power after President Biden's victory in the 2020 election. Several members were charged with seditious conspiracy over their actions in the lead up to and the day of the Capitol riot. The group of defendants were tried in 2 separate trials because of space limitations in D.C. federal courts. So this was 2 separate trials, right? It's not like they were all in the same trial, convicted by the same jury. 2 separate trials, 2 separate juries, which also makes this, that increases how remarkable these convictions are, right? It's rare, but these 2, they were concurrent trials, concurrent juries, concurrent convictions. It's extraordinary from a legal perspective. And then, of course, they name the names, guilty of seditious conspiracy and other riot-related felonies. The men face, like Rhodes, a maximum of 20 years in prison for the seditious conspiracy convictions alone, though they were also found guilty of several other charges stemming from the riot, including conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, which, of course, was the counting of the Electoral College votes by Congress, by then Vice President Pence, right? So that's the official proceeding that the January 6th riot attempted to obstruct. So the same court is also trying a leader of the far-right Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, along with 4 other members. They are also charged with seditious conspiracy over a similar but separate plot to stop the peaceful transfer of power through the riot. So again, this isn't the end. Other people are being prosecuted for this crime, members of even other far-right militias. So it'll be interesting to see the trajectory of those cases as well. And of course, Axios reminds us that they are among hundreds of other people who have pled guilty or were convicted of other charges stemming from January 6th. So again, we're seeing a drumbeat of Justice Department momentum. Now for the other one. We just talked about the Oath Keepers. Let's go to the guy, again, who went viral, in his seditious lazy boy situation, just kicking back in Speaker Pelosi's chair, propping his feet up on her desk. He has been found guilty of 8 counts, 8 separate charges. You see him here. Man, look at it. He's just pleased as all get out. This is the proudest moment of his life until today. Richard Barnett, the man who was photographed with his feet propped up on the desk inside of Nancy Pelosi's office during the January 6th riot, was found guilty of 8 charges by a federal jury. The 8 charges Barnett faced included theft of government property, civil disorder, and obstructing an official proceeding, which again was the counting of the Electoral College votes by Vice President Pence in front of Congress, which would then certify it. 2 charges cite possession of a deadly weapon while he was in the Capitol building, a stun gun / walking stick combo, because I guess he's Inspector Gadget or Batman or something, he purchased in Rogers, Arkansas the week before. Nearly 1,000 people have been charged with participating in the insurrection, including 3 active duty Marines, and we did a video on that. So he has not been charged with seditious conspiracy, only the Oath Keepers have, but again, these are 3, because the Oath Keepers were tried separately in 2 concurrent trials. So these are 3 separate trials which are yielding, guilty verdicts. And again, it indicates an increased tempo in terms of accountability of these insurrectionists by the Justice Department. And again, it's not over, and hopefully it will culminate with a successful charging and prosecution and conviction of the guy who ultimately is responsible for all of it, the former president, Donald Trump. Hey you! Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, and I hope that you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And if you absolutely hated the video, the best revenge for you is also to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. That'll teach me. If you want to share an opinion or share some feedback, go ahead and leave a comment, all right? 2023 is a year of change, hence the aggressive rebrand and commitment to new content. Inspired by my friends Luke Beasley and STV Philly, my personal goal for this channel is to hit 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I'm hoping you'll do me a solid by spreading the word and the videos to potential fans and hate watchers alike. And in the meantime, we'll be pondering politics again with you very soon.